In this video, I'd like to tell you about this desk that I built. First of all, the desktop is made from four 36-inch long pieces of 1x6 joined together on the bottom by pocket holes made with my Kreg jig. The pocket holes are here. This is the center row of pocket holes. The other two rows are buried under the legs. The reason I use the single hole jig in the center there is so that I can have the same number of screws going in each direction. I have half the screws facing one way and half facing the other way. And the screws used to put the top together are 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. Here you can also see the pocket holes used for attaching the drawer rail. These have to be spaced carefully so that they don't conflict with the screws used to attach the drawer slide. The shelf is a 1x8, 36 inches long, and the supports are made from 1/2-inch steel pipe, 6-inch pipe, and 2 flanges to make each support. The screws that anchor them are 3/4 inch long number 10 screws. It pays to get the more expensive screws because they work better and strip out less. The drawer is constructed from 1x4s held together with pocket holes made with the Kreg jig, and the bottom of the drawer is made from 1/4 inch plywood and is slotted into grooves on the bottom that I cut using a rabbiting bit on my router. It's held in place with glue and 6 7/8 inch long brad nails. I use the higher quality ball bearing drawer slides, which are more expensive but work better, and I also used a high quality knob. The drawer front has to be 4 inches longer than the interior dimensions of the drawer box because it has to accommodate the thickness of the side of the drawer box as well as the thickness of the drawer rail and the drawer slide. This is 3/4 of an inch, this is 3/4 of an inch, and this is a 1/2 inch, so 2 inches on each side. It's also important to have a small gap of about 1/8 inch between the top of the drawer and the bottom of the desktop. The reason for this is so that the drawer will operate smoothly, because if you have the drawer tight up against the desktop, it'll tend to jam and stick and not operate very well. Now, the legs themselves are made out of 2x6. The bottom piece here is 22 inches long, which is the same as the width of the desktop. These feet are square pieces, 5.5 inches long by 5.5 inches wide. A 2x6 is 5.5 inches wide. The columns here are 24 3/4 of an inch long, and the reason they are that length is so that when combined with the desk feet and the bottom piece and the top piece and the desktop itself, the desktop ends up being at 30 inches. Now, these are also put together using pocket holes and screws. The pocket holes are 2 on this side, and then there's 1 in the center of the back side, so 3. And then up here it's the opposite, 1 on this side, 2 on the other side. And I put plugs in these pocket holes because otherwise they would be highly visible. I used 2.5-inch screws for putting the 2x6 leg sets together. The braces on the leg sets are made from pieces of 2x2. In this case, they're 26 1/8 inch long, and the angles that are cut on them are 22.5 degrees, but the length and the angles would vary depending on the width and height of the desk. These braces are not really structural, as the 2x6 is the actual load-bearing member. These braces are decorative. I attach them using pocket holes, one on each end, and in this case I used 1.5-inch screws to anchor them in place, and then put plugs in and sanded them down. Now, in another desk I built, I used 2-inch screws to anchor the braces, but that was because I had the pocket holes further up on the braces. It's a very good idea to experiment with scrap first to see what works before doing it on the actual pieces. Now, the top piece of the leg set is 20 inches long on the long side up top here, and that is so that there can be a 1-inch inset in the front and back and on the side from the edge of the desktop. The angle here is 45 degrees, and the bottom side is 17 inches long. To get the column centered in this piece and the bottom piece, what I do is measure and find the center of the piece, and then I measure 3/4 of an inch either side of the center and mark it, because these boards are 1.5 inches thick, and that will allow me to center the board. And on the very bottom here, it's not very visible, but I put furniture glides on to help protect the floor. And that's a little bit about the desk I made. The Kreg jig, this is the 2-hole Kreg jig that I used, and it has a gauge here to set the thickness of the wood. And then this is the single-hole Kreg jig, which comes with an instruction manual that tells you how to set it up. This is the special drill bit that is used with the Kreg jig. It has a stop collar that you have to set up depending on the thickness of the wood. And I hope you enjoyed learning about the desk I built.